Hey everyone, how's it going? Onita here, and I have 10 top romances, 5 fantasy romances or romantasy, and 5 contemporary romances that I would like to talk to you about. Let's start off with the more contemporary romances. Indigo Ridge, which is the first one in the Edens series. I know this is a bit more on the romantic or romance suspense genre of the romance genre. We follow Winslow Covington. She is Kinsey, or is it Quincy or Kinsey? I don't know. But she is Montana's new chief of police. She is determined to prove herself to her community that she did not get the job because her grandfather is the mayor of this small town. And her grandfather has said, like, if you want to earn the favor of this town, if you want to show them that you are not a nepo baby, pretty much, then you have to earn favor with the Edens, who are this royalty in this small town, because the family is seen as the founding family in the small town. Winslow, against her better judgment, has a bit of a one-night stand with one of the members of the Eden family. His name is Griffin. She didn't realize that he was one of the members of the Eden family. He makes life a little bit difficult for her. She tries to avoid him. There is a murder that happens on the Eden property, I believe. A woman is found dead on Eden property, and Winslow and Griffin pretty much have no choice but to cross paths and try to work together and to solve the case of the murder of this woman. Flawless, which is book 1 in the Chestnut Spring series by Elsie. This one is really starting to take over in popularity. I see this book a lot of places now. It's a small town romance yet again. I believe it's a standalone series. I believe we're following cowboys. I don't know what the relation is, but we're following cowboys. I think every one of the males is a cowboy or something like that. It's a small town romance yet again, like I said, I think. And this one follows a bull rider. He is a very successful, very popular, famous bull rider. He is considered the golden boy in this industry. He does something that really damages his reputation, and his agent has said to him, my daughter is going to be a full-time supervisor. You got to behave. So he thinks he doesn't need a supervisor. He doesn't need a babysitter. But she is there to make sure he doesn't mess up any more than he already has. They grow closer to one another. There's a romance, there's an attraction. She says that we really shouldn't, because she's thinking you're in enough trouble as it is. You don't need more trouble on your hands. Your image is pretty much already ruined, and I'm here to pretty much help you with that. He thinks, I like you, I want you. And yeah, romance. It's a romance, what can I say? 7 Days in June by Tia Williams. This one follows 2 writers. We follow Eva Mercy and Shane Hall. Eva is a single mother and a best-selling erotica writer, and she is feeling pressure on all sides of her life. And Shane Hall is a reclusive, enigmatic, literary award-winning author who shows up in New York, and everyone is surprised by that fact. Eva and Shane unexpectedly meet at a literary event, and sparks pretty much start flying amongst each other, and people are pretty surprised about that. But what people don't know is that 20 years ago, when they were teenagers, they had a bit of a romance happening. They try to bury the past. They can't deny their attraction, and their chemistry is just amazing, off the charts. Like, that they really don't want to, just with what happened to them years ago really affected them in a way. Over this time, they really try to see if they can make it work again, and is it going to be like, is the past going to hurt their chance at a future relationship? Can they make things work? And they try to reconnect. Oh, another thing as well that was really interesting was that they were secretly writing about each other in their books. So that is gonna be interesting. One's erotica, one's literary. Damn, it must have been passionate. Writers and Lovers by Lily King. This one follows Casey. She is a struggling artist. Her mother suddenly dies, and her now ex-boyfriend she has found out was having a bit of an affair on her. She hits a bit of a rock bottom. She works as a waiter now in a restaurant, and she ends up renting a teeny tiny small room at the side of a garage, and that is where she continues to work on her novel that she has been writing for 6 years. Well, she meets two guys and she falls in love with them. They are very different from one another, and she falls in love with them at pretty much the same time. Casey's fight to fulfill her creative ambitions and balance the conflicting demands of art and life is challenged in ways that push her to the brink. The book is a transfixing novel that explores the terrifying and exhilarating leap between the end of one phase of life and the beginning of another. Am I going to have an existential crisis reading this book? Probably, probably. The last one for the more contemporary romances is A Fine Print, which is book 1 in the Dreamland Billionaires trilogy by Lauren Asher. I know it's adult Disneyland, in a way. Each book in the series is a standalone romance. I believe the first one is following a guy who takes over, like, I think the grandfather dies. The grandfather's like this big conglomerate fellow. He has theme parks, media companies, social network companies, stuff like that. And the first one follows a brother who is the heir to this kind of, just say, a Disneyland kind of thing. It's called Dreamland. A romance between him and his assistant, I believe. The second one follows the heir to a social media networking, like media network corporation. Third one follows an athlete who has a bit of an alcohol addiction, I believe. Now onto the romantasy/fantasy romance portion of this video. Do I have to sneeze again? Oh gosh, okay. I'm okay. The first one we have is the book of Azrael, which is book 1 in Gods and Monsters series by Amber v. Nicole. World Ender meets Ender of Worlds. 1,000 years ago, Diana gives up her life in the deserts of Iowa. To save her dying sister, she called upon anyone who would listen, not expecting a monster far worse than any nightmare to answer. Now she does what Caden asks, even if that means securing an ancient relic from the very creatures that hunt her. A king thought long dead and long forgotten. In the old world, his name is Sam Kial. In the new world, it is Liam, but one title remains true throughout time. He is the World Eater, a myth to his enemies, a savior and king to those loyal to him. After the Gods' War, he locked himself away, hiding from the world. He denied his crown and responsibilities, leaving the very ones who needed him most to deal with the fallout of the death of their homeland. Now an attack on those he holds dear sends him back to the one realm he never wished to visit again, and into the sights of an enemy he thought imprisoned eons ago. Now enemies older than time must put aside the differences and work together in hopes of saving both their world and every realm in between. I have had my eye on this for a few years now, and I believe it was a self-published or indie-published novel, and then it recently got picked up by a traditional publisher. From what I've heard, I believe this is like absolute true enemies to lovers, and just to like, this series just sounds so good to me. And I heard that Amber v. Nicole also writes a little bit of horror in her book, so I'm curious to see how that's going to play a part in this fantasy series, or romantasy series I should say. The Bridge Kingdom, book 1 in the Bridge Kingdom series by Danielle L. Jensen. This one I believe, so it's really a series following duologies. It's going to be 3 sets of duologies, so a 6-book series, and each duology in the series has a bit of an overarching plot line, like a bigger plot at play. And all I can say about this is that it's pretty much very similar to From Blood and Ash, where even Flesh and the Fire series, honestly, if I'm being completely honest, or is it Flesh and Fire? I get those names mixed up. It's pretty much like enemies to lovers kind of thing. Lara is the main character. She has been trained throughout her life to become an assassin. She gets married? I think she gets married or whatever. Yeah, she goes to this kingdom, this Bridge Kingdom. And this Bridge Kingdom is like a gateway for ships to come in and out, to go to different realms in this world. And this king, called King Aaron, has been stopping shipment passing from one place to another so that ships can go and like go to other realms in this in this world. Things are not what they seem, and is King Aaron really the bad guy? Honestly, probably not. I'm still really interested to read this book. I've wanted to read it since it came out. I think that one also as well was another instance where I think it was not traditionally published. It recently became traditionally published because it was a indie or self-published book, if memory serves me correctly. Shadows of Fire, book 1 in the Shadow Realms series by Brenda K. Davies. Has vampires, half vampires, lycans which are werewolves. What else does it have? Dark fae, it has witches, it has dragons. Yeah, I don't, like, I'm reading it now to try and tell you what it's about. Maybe I should tell you what it's about. I'll tell you. When the invitation to the gloaming arrives, Lexi can't believe that she, a half vampire, has been invited to enter the Dark Fae realm. Her first trip to a shadow realm isn't one she'll soon forget once she meets Cole, a Dark Fae prince. Fresh from the war that ravaged the mortal realm and devastated his family, Cole is struggling to piece his life back together when he encounters Lexi. He has always identified more with his dark face side, but when her presence awakens the lycan part of him, Cole is unable to resist his attraction to her. When the hostile tension between the different immortals erupts, Lexi flees the gloaming for the mortal realm. Once home, she's certain she'll never see Cole again. She's proven wrong when tragedy strikes. Lexi is unable to turn Cole away, even if helping him puts her in danger. Can their growing love survive the cruelty of the Shadow Realms, or will they be the next to fall? Doesn't that kind of sound a little bit like Saga by Brian K. Vaughan to you? Okay. Like different fate, like different races that really shouldn't be together romantically. I think this one is like a self-indie published book as well. And it's a 10-book series because of course I'm always attracted to this series on this channel. So the last two books, the last two fantasy, romance or romantasy series I'm to talk to you about is Carissa, Broadbent. I think you may already know which ones I'm talking about. We have The Serpent and the Wings of Night, which is book 1 in the Crowns of Nyaxia duology. What I know about this book is that it's vampires, humans, a Hunger Games-esque kind of tournament, and enemies to lovers, and I don't really want to know too much more about that. This is the last book I have to talk to you about for this video. Daughter of No Worlds, which is book 1 in the War of Lost Hearts series, again by Carissa Broadbent. I don't want to know too much about it, because me looking at what I've written down here, my brain is kind of like, okay. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know, have you read any of these romances? Are there any that you think I will really enjoy? Let me know, please. I would really like more suggestions and more books to check out. And thank you very much for watching yet again, and I will see you in another video. Bye for now.